grade teachers and administrators, and I coordinate and organize our English as a Second Language program for the district. So my classroom of learners on a daily basis are our actual classroom teachers and our building principals and leadership teams. I teach teachers on a daily basis. So recommendation number 5. The heart, the root of the DEC is our students. So our final recommendation is we want to ensure that Oregon's teachers can address the needs of our diverse students. It's amazing how our classroom look, for lack of a better word, has changed in the last 15 years here in Oregon. And we want to ensure that with all of the recommendations that we have, the core, the root, the heart of it is, it's because we want student achievement to improve, that the kids are always at the forefront. We want to provide a high quality education for every student, and that if we do that, that will benefit all of our students, K-12. And our teachers, we expect that of ourselves, to understand all the different needs of all of the individual learners in our classroom, but we also expect that of our colleagues. Teachers need to have the skills, they need to have the confidence, and they need to have the ability and support to address all the different diverse needs of students. So I'm going to pull out a little bit of the data that we actually have for you here in the document. But just kind of sit and listen, because the data always baffles me sometimes at how quickly it's changed. So over the past decade, Oregon's achievement gap has just gotten significantly wider. We haven't closed that achievement gap. And if you compare us to states across the country, we're getting significantly wider with our gaps. And the gaps that I'm referring to are the subgroups. So we look at subgroup data on a monthly, on a weekly basis, and we're looking at how do our low-income students perform? How do our African-American students perform? How do our Hispanic students perform? And our English language learners perform? And when you compare that to their white peers, higher income students, or native English-speaking students, there's a significant gap that we have, with everything that we've been doing in education, it's not closed. In Oregon alone, from 2000 to 2010, 10 years, our Hispanic population grew by 63%. Right now, currently in Oregon, 50% of our students qualify for free or have free and reduced lunch. That's if they even apply for the free and reduced lunch program. That means their families are living below the federal poverty level. But yet, when you look at our workforce, our certified workforce, the teachers, we have an 8% minority teacher workforce in Oregon, but yet our kids, we have 33% of a minority student population. So our teaching force doesn't reflect what the kids that we have in our classrooms. About maybe a little over a decade ago, we had a Minority Teacher Act, and there was a target to increase or to have a proportionate number of minority teachers in Oregon equal to the minority student population. And we haven't even reached that yet, and I don't even know what the actions were to try to achieve that. So even here in David Douglas, we're in East Portland, kind of out by the airport, we have a 44% minority student population, and when I pulled the data for a report, only 5% of our teacher population represents our minority community. And research says that when you have role model teachers in front of the classroom, the connections that are made with your minority student population are greater. And they not only see that they can aspire to be a teacher someday or to go down some other kind of career, that they can make something of themselves beyond the classroom when they graduate. So what does the DEC feel that we need to change? We feel that certain actions can take place in order to meet the needs that Oregon teachers require to meet all of the needs of the diverse student population. One, we need to have and expect culturally responsive teaching practices from all of our teachers. And how do we do that? We need training and strategies through training, evaluation, or professional development opportunities to eliminate racial and economic achievement gaps within our system. So we want to have ongoing training. As we talk together as a council, there are pockets where different districts do different things, and it's mainly a one and done training. And if you read a book and you put a banner up on the board, does that really mean that what you know about culturally responsive teaching, is that going to transcend into your everyday practice? We want to know what kind of promising practices are out there that we can help teachers understand that some of the practices that we're doing, is it really a good practice for the kids that we have in the classroom? For instance, homework. We've all done homework before. My son brings home homework from first grade. But if teachers knew more about their kids, if they're homeless, if they're English language learners, if their mom and dad work at night because that's the only job that they can get, is homework really a promising practice if they need extra practice for them to do by themselves? What are other opportunities that we can have kids practice so that they can gain the skill that they need? So how do we improve, how do we get our teachers to ensure that when we look back at this chevron, as we talked about each recommendation, we're at a critical point that each point in our chevron, we need to be explicit about how do we meet the needs of diverse learners in every aspect of each of our recommendations.